Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's having a good and wonderful night tonight. How's everyone doing tonight? My name is Celso Garcia, and I'm live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Substack. And in a few minutes, I'll be live on TikTok at Old Man Labor. Old Man Labor is my username on most of the platforms, except for um, Instagram, which is Old Man Labor One, right? Old Man Labor One. Um, so let's see, where do we start? Let's talk about it. Um, First of all, above everything else, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow like button, hit the like button, and also hit the share button. I appreciate you all for hitting all those buttons at the same time. You know, a lot of things could be true at the same time, but the hate and the fear mongering against Zohran has been like nothing I've seen before, right? The amount of animosity that they have for Zohran, it's uh it's more than I've seen in a long time, right? More animosity that I've seen in a very long time. And it's hard to explain, but it can be explained why they have this animosity toward the views of Zoran Mandani. And the main reason is they don't really want the workers to feel as if they can win, right? They don't want the working people to feel as if they're losing and they could possibly win, right? They don't like that idea. They don't like the idea that you feel like you could possibly win, right? They don't like the idea that you feel like you could actually win, and the idea that you're losing. They want to make you believe that the American dream is real and that if you keep working as hard as you've been working, you'll be able to you'll be able to live a better life, right? If you work hard and give it all you got, you will be able to get out of the rut or be able to get out of the living paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of people, generation after generation, they might move up relatively, somewhat, but most of the time, not enough, right? A lot of people don't move up enough in their lifetime, right? But the ones that do move up in their lifetime, they're the ones that feel like superior or feel like um, that the world is fair and spread that message that the world is fair and that no one has the cards stacked against them because you were able to achieve something that other people were not able to achieve, right? Which is some type of either staying in the same class you grew up in or moving slightly higher than where your parents were, right? So you move slightly higher, and so now you feel as if anyone can do it because you were able to do it. But the conditions might not be the same. The material conditions will probably not be the same. And as much as you want to say that you have an equal chance or you have an equal ability to succeed. You don't want to admit that maybe, maybe the American dream is not what you were told it was. You don't want to reach this realization, right? You told yourself over and over that you can achieve the American dream and you can achieve um, what your family couldn't achieve or what your parents couldn't achieve, or you surpassed what they have been able to achieve. Therefore, you feel as if your life has improved, right? Or if you grew up in poverty or you grew up um, a right, and so it's just bizarre, right? I just want you to understand it's bizarre that we've been programmed to believe that some people are lazy, that the reason why some people don't move up is because they work hard. So if politicians like Zoran makes the case that some of us may be trying our best, but still not achieving the dreams that you think you could achieve, then showing us that the system is rigged and the rules are not fair to every person, a lot of times gets people upset and gets people worked up, right? To realize that maybe everything you learn growing up as a child to today has been wrong or has misdirected you in the wrong direction, right? They've misdirected you. They've gave you the wrong information, and now we assume that those people that don't achieve material substance are failures, right? But they're not because we don't know the details of that person's life, right? Like they say, history is written by those that rule, right? History is written by those that rule, right? It's not written by regular people. It's written by those that have influence, right? That have the most influence over the system and over the ideas of the current uh, environment, right? It's not written by regular people because regular people don't have that power or the stage to be heard, right? So now that we have a politician such as Zohran Mandani that is speaking to the people, but also listening to the people, this is what causes people to feel threatened. This is what causes the whole establishment, the rich, the people that are in the middle class, the people that are better off than the majority of society to feel threatened and feel like they have to push back on the narrative that not everyone that works hard can actually achieve or reach higher levels of material goods. right? Because the argument goes that the more material goods you achieve, the farther away you are from being happy, the farther you are from feeling achieved or feeling fulfilled, right? And so I think our job is not to judge people or put people down or feel like we're better than anyone, but be humble and accept that in the end of the day, we're just bone and we're just flesh. And this in the political world is very scary for the rich and powerful that feel that they can buy influence and feel that they can control the narrative to make their own material lives better and not have to worry about anyone else's material needs, but only worry about their own material needs because that's what they have to worry about, right? Their own material needs. So in comes a politician like Zohran Mandani, and that gets the whole establishment shaken up. That how could their money not stop him? How could their money not be a way to steer the conversation in their favor, right? So so right now they're nervous. They're worried about losing their influence over society, right? And also losing their ability to have leisure time and allowing everyone else to have some type of normalcy or work life balance, right? Because they want to make it seem as if the rich and the powerful are the ones that work the most, right? That they work harder than all of us, that they do more than all of us. But in the end of the day, many times the average person is working 10 times harder, giving it all to benefit others, right? And others take advantage of their wealth and extrapolate the wealth from the people because the power is our labor, right? The our strength is our labor because rich people cannot be rich without working people, right? Doing the work. So they can make money at scale, right? Um, that means that if they make 10 million cars and they're making profit off each car, they would not be able to make 10 million cars on their own. They have to have workers to make those cars and also workers to be able to buy those cars because the rich on their own wouldn't be able to buy those 10 million cars, right? But they will benefit the most from the amount of money that is made off of making those cars, right? And so then they claim that they work harder than everyone else and that everyone else doesn't work as hard as they do, right? That's always their assertion. That's always their argument that no one works harder than they do, that the rich always work harder than everyone else, and everyone else is just lazy or doesn't want to work, right? Everyone else doesn't want to work, and we all are lazy. And so let's watch this video where Zoran makes the average person feel comfortable with politics and with politicians, even though he's being heckled and he has a lot of haters and a lot of people that want him to fail, don't want him to be successful, especially in the media landscape, in the um, political landscape, in the environment. A lot of people don't want to see him succeed because they know if he's successful, then any person can challenge the status quo. Any person can challenge what the world is hearing and seeing, right? If he's successful, all of us can be successful. And so at this moment, they really are betting against him. They want him to fail because if he fails, then it's sending a message to anyone that is pragmatic and is also on the left flank that you can also fail and you won't be successful, right? If you're progressive, if you believe in like hearing different people's ideas and putting them together in a way to benefit the average person, and that people have a collective control of their material needs, then you wouldn't really need rich people, right? Because if we can all profit and make money off of each other's labor, then we don't need the middle people. And that's what they're worried about. That's their main worry. That maybe, possibly, we might not need them. And so they constantly are trying to prove their worth, right? They're constantly trying to prove their worth, right? This is Zohran. Let me play the video of Zohran.
City, if there wasn't somebody on the block. I want that man to be able to afford to keep living in New York City. Because the day that I don't hear him yelling at me, it means he got priced out of this place. And I don't want that. I don't want that for him. I don't want that for anybody in this city. We need to make this a city where it's affordable enough to yell at your politicians. If it's not that city, it's not the city I want to live in. Let's be clear about it. So let this be a city where we have this, where we worry about, are the Knicks going to win the championship? Where we ask ourselves, why is a $9 latte $9? Let this not be a city where we ask ourselves, is government doing enough to build affordable housing as quickly as it can? Today starts to answer that final question. Thank you so much.
So, pragmatic, straight to the point. How many of you can get mad at the point of view of Zohran, right? Right? Why get upset at the point of view of Zohran Mandani? Because the powers to be have spent the last 1,000 years trying to keep the power to themselves, the money to themselves, and they want to pass it on from one generation to the next and to the next. It's been something that's been historical, and it continues from that generation to this generation, where we just want to be greedy. We want to keep the power to ourselves. We want to keep any successes to ourselves so we can win and everyone else could lose. And that's the goal, right? That's the goal. And that's the root of why they want him to fail. Because they don't want people to be able to see him winning and feeling like they could also win and challenge the status quo, challenge the politicians, right? And challenge the establishment people that have been control the narrative for a long time, right? And so that's just like that's just the way it is, right? And so this is a point of view that the next de Souza is saying that many conservatives think that the left is not evil, just misguided. Obama illustrates the fallacy of this way of thinking on the right, right? So they think that the they get misguided, right? The right is misguided, and the left thinks that the left is misguided. So we just point the finger at each other, but we all agree on the same thing, that we want a better world for our children, for our families. But how the disagreement is, how do we achieve this, right? The biggest disagreement between the left and the right is how, and the approach on how we can achieve success, and who is entitled to that success, right? Who's entitled to that success, and how can we achieve that success that we are all seeking, right? And so let's listen to what he has to say. And you tell me in the comments if you agree with what he has to say, right? Tell me in the comments if you agree what he has to say, right? Let me know in the comments.
Where then do we get this naive idea that the left does what it does because of ignorance, because it doesn't know better? I believe we get it from the naivete of the Reagan years. In the Reagan years, we generally believed that the differences between the parties, the difference between us and them, were differences not of ends, but only of means. In that Reaganite framework, the right and the left both want a strong, safe, prosperous America. We all want to go to the same place. We have some disagreements, such as how our prosperity should be shared, how to carve up the pie, but these are disagreements within a shared vision. Therefore, the two sides are really on the same side. Politically speaking, we are friends and not enemies. If they go in a different direction than us, our job is to show them that they are misguided.
I mean, does that explain the Epstein class, that they misguided? That's how you have Democrats and Republicans in the Epstein files. Is that why you have both sides on the Epstein files? You have people that are people like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Elon Musk. You have people from all the way from the right to the more conservative leaning, to the moderate, to somebody like Chomsky, right? So does that explain it? How close they are psychologically?
Today's Republicans, today's right, has inherited that same framework from the Reagan era. They just don't get it. It's our job to educate them, to show them where their interests truly lie. Obama didn't care he was making Iran stronger and America weaker. In fact, that was his goal. This was the point of my book, The Roots of Obama's Rage, and my first film, 2016.
So supposedly, this is the argument from the right, right? That the left and the right can agree that we all have common goals and common beliefs. And this has come into question now in this era where bipartisanship has pretty much sunk and died. But what binds the Republicans and the Democrats is the money, right? The money interest, the power brokers that push them all to the center or push them to lean conservatively, right? Because there is no left really in this country. Most people are closer to Republicans compared to Europe and compared to all these places. We are mostly closer to the right than anything else. We have that belief, that embedded belief that the American dream is real and that anyone that works hard can achieve whatever they want to achieve if they work hard enough. That's the underlying belief in our political
Obama's
system, right? That's the
America. My theme was that Obama was driven by a third world anti-colonial vision in which America is the bad guy and the people fighting America are the good guys. Obama wanted to take America down a notch, and he did. He wanted to diminish America's power in the world, and he did.
so that's the big disagreement, right? That's the big disagreement as to what is the American dream and how can we achieve that American dream if we haven't already achieved it. So when a person like Zohran shows up, that's when people start to question themselves and believe that maybe all the things they believe for a very long time were not necessarily true, but they know that it's possible that the system is rigged against them and they could feel that, but that maybe they could achieve that dream, the American dream that they never could achieve before, right? So this is the interview that they did with Zohran Mandani, one of the many interviews, because he's all over the press. He's on social media. He's not just relying on the media to create the script for his administration, but he's also doing social media heavily to make sure that he puts out the story out there, not just allow the media to control the story. And this is the strength of a politician that knows the limitations of the entities that often have controlled the narrative, right?
Before you go, can
Yes.
we do one quick lightning round? Here we go. Are you ready?
Ready.
What are you watching or streaming for fun in all your spare time?
Okay, I'm currently working very slowly.
He's
through
just a
Love
regular
Story.
guy.
Wow. Okay.
It's very good.
So far, so good.
So far, very good.
Okay. Are you reading anything right now? Do you have time to read for fun?
I haven't been able to read in quite a little bit of time.
That's the first thing to go, isn't
I'll
it?
be
usually?
honest.
First place that a first-time visitor to New York City should go.
Okay, when are they arriving?
Oh, now. Let's
Okay,
say.
if they're coming now, I would say the first thing that they should do is go to the Museum of the City of New York.
Okay.
There is a truck driver who spent 20 years after working 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day and having dinner with his family. He would work for a few hours every night for 20 years to create a reproduction of the City of New York. And it is currently being housed in the Museum of the City of New York, and it is gorgeous.
I love this. Where can you find the best slice in the city?
The best slice,
Mhm.
it's got to be Coronet. The huge, I think, biggest slice in New York City. It used to be $5.75. It's worth it.
People are going to talk about this answer by this. It's going to be the most controversial thing you say the whole interview.
So lovely.
What is the most only in New York moment you've had since becoming mayor?
The
Is
He's
there
just
one
being
that
a
stands
regular
out?
guy.
New York moment. I think one of the things I love most about the city is that when people are yelling in support of you,
Yeah.
it's so aggressive.
Yeah.
So to someone who's not from New York City, it sounds like they're attacking. It's like I'll be walking in New York City and someone will be like, "I support you, man," and I'll be like, "Oh, thank you very much." Just to put everyone else at ease.
Security's like jumping in.
It's like it's fine. He's a support. So that's very New York City.
Do you have a favorite curse word? Do you curse?
Do I curse?
You're just
Yes,
being a regular
I
guy.
do curse.
Is
Not
it-
like more kind of in fun than in anger.
Okay.
What
What do you do when you get angry? There's
You're
nothing
just being
you
a
let
regular
out?
guy, Zohran.
that much.
No.
As much as
Good
you
for
get
you.
upset, Zohran is being
Better
a
me.
regular guy.
Most.
Yeah.
I've
And some
heard
people don't
you're
like
allergic
that.
to cats.
Yes.
But you're getting a cat?
maybe two.
True?
And they
Maybe
really
two.
Maybe
Why
two.
two?
Maybe two. I actually just got this week. I did 2 shots in 1 week. So today I got my second set of shots.
They've been attacking Zohran's
Getting
wife
close
real
to the
hard.
final set of vials.
Real
Very
hard.
exciting.
And we should say this is for your wife
Yes.
who wants cats.
Yes.
And his
So
wife
this
wants
is true
cats,
active love.
Transitive property. I love
So
my
he's
wife.
getting
She
her
loves cats.
cats.
I love cats.
Mr.
right?
Mayor, thank you so much for your time.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Kind of sounds
Support
like
journalism you trust.
me, right? Sounds
Support
kind of like
PBS
me,
News.
right?
Donate now, or even better, start.
Sounds kind of like me, right? The things you do for love, right? The things you do for love are bizarre and crazy. So, enough gloating and speaking about Zohran Mamdani. Now let's talk about somebody on the opposite spectrum of Zohran. We have Mr. Donald Trump. He's in the opposite spectrum of Zohran Mamdani, right? He's on the opposite spectrum of Zohran Mamdani. So the whole argument that people really want to believe in something, right? People really want to believe in something and feel like they want a chance at being able to survive. They want a chance to be able to speak the truth and hear the truth from their politicians, right? That's kind of what got Donald Trump elected, right? He promised people no more wars. He was going to put America first. He was going to put the people first above all things. And he was going to get us involved in anything that would jeopardize the United States and jeopardize the common person, right? People felt like they could win. They felt like he was going to keep his promises. And so now he still has a diehard group of supporters that support him no matter what and feel as if he right. So let's listen to a little bit of Senator Bernie Sanders speaking a little bit about Zohran, and then once we do that, then I'll jump into the Trump stuff. How he's on the defense for breaking some of his campaign promises, but his polling numbers still seem to be unshakable or not moving among his base. Among every other American, the independents, among women, he's
about Greenland, about Venezuela. Let's come back to the United States. The Pentagon is putting 1,500 troops on standby for a potential deployment to Minnesota after an ICE agent killed unarmed, nonviolent mother of 3.
This is the
Renee
old
Good.
video, by the way.
You've said her death reminds you of January 6th. What do you mean by that?
In this sense, first of all, what ICE is doing under Trump, this is Trump's directive.
Trump
They have invaded the city
getting
of
people upset.
Minneapolis. Their goal is to intimidate every person in this country, that if you stand up, you are in trouble because the military is coming. All right? And I got to tell you, this is repellent to the vast majority of the Americans.
And the military did come. So it's like Donald Trump became a warmonger. He became a warmonger, right? From never being a warmonger to be saying that he was going to be an isolationist And now all of a sudden he became a warmonger, wanted to deploy the National Guard to different parts of the country, wanted to deploy soldiers, and now the possible deployment of soldiers in Iran. And we already have 50,000 soldiers in Iran as we speak, and more should be arriving soon, right?
Now, in terms of authoritarianism, also, it's all of the things that I mentioned, but it is also propagating the big lie.
So he's saying the big lie. What's the big lie, Bernie?
All right. So you say black and it's white, you say white and it's black. So for January 6th, we had a radical group of insurrectionists trying to destroy democracy and undermine a free election, right? That's what they did. Trump turns that around and says, these were peaceful demonstrators.
So it's pretty much changing the script, right? And changing reality to saying that the reality is not what you believe it is, right? And this is what politicians do, right? They change the reality to believe you, so you could believe what their reality is should be your reality. And so a lot of times people live through these politicians. They feel like, oh, this person is for me, this person's defending me, this person will take care of me. And so they let them get away with as much as possible.
And now you have a woman, a mother of three, sitting in a automobile, shot in the head by an ICE agent, and the Trump people label her a domestic terrorist.
And so Bernie Sanders has some deep words for everyone, saying how the narrative could be scripted and changed at any time to make anyone look bad or make anyone look good. This is just the way they work, the way the administration works. So when you seen those gas prices are going to come down. If you've seen the jobs are not as well or not as good, don't worry. It's going to come down. It's not going to be permanent. It's just a temporary setback. It's not something that's going to last long. It's something that's in your head. It's not anything that you should worry about. And that's always what they're going to do, right? They're always going to make it seem as if you're not in the right world, right? Right? So that's the issue, right? That so this is an interesting video, right? Because they're constantly attacking certain people and saying, oh, the certain people are against America. Certain people are against America. And one of the people that they claim is against America is Hassan Piker, right? Hassan Piker, which is part of the left movement, they always accuse him of being an anti-Semite. And this is a small compilation of all the times he has called out any hate against any group, right? And hate against any group.
Old targets. They're not very creative, usually. They just always rehash the same propaganda over and over again. Anti-Semitism is a canary in the coal mine of fascism. It's one of the oldest bigotries that has caused those of the Jewish faith a tremendous amount of pain. From pogroms to the Holocaust, Jews have always been singled out by those in power as a scapegoat for instability and economic volatility people in power cause. A resilient, nascent anti-Semitism is a constant threat, especially as economic instability makes those in power seek out old targets. They're not very creative, usually. They just always rehash the same propaganda over and over again. This is precisely the reason why I am terrified of the conflation of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. The conflation is dangerous. Valid criticisms against the state, especially as all of the violence is unfolding, and everyone can see it, valid criticisms against the state committing these atrocities and tying it back to Judaism is a cynical ploy to stop all matter of conversation is truly terrifying. And I think it directly causes anti-Semitism to fester.
I will always call out anti-Semitism. It's gross, it's immoral, it is a hate crime. There is no space for anti-Semitism. So when I hear from those who have never even cared about anti-Semitism coming in here to like use it, to deploy it cynically, and to say this nasty thing to someone like myself and to others who are simply calling for the emancipation of Palestinians, I lose my fucking mind. It is so gross. It's so disgusting. You are betraying the severity of anti-Semitism when you use it in such a silly way. There is real anti-Semitism. There is actually a sense of marginalization that is valid. There is actually a genuine impact of anti-Semitism that is a canary for fascist ideology. So when that gets diluted with anti-Zionism in a very nefarious cycle that tries to associate all of the actions of Israel with Judaism, you are literally, without recognizing, telling people something that is objectively false, okay? Just like Saudi Arabia and its actions have nothing to do with Islam, okay? Or the rest of the Muslim world, Israel's actions have nothing to do with Judaism or, you know, how American Jews or Jews wherever they live in the world and their day-to-day experiences. It has nothing to do with that. It is a state, right? It is a state built around an ethno and religious supremacist ideology that is built on top of an area where there are millions of indigenous people and tens of millions that have been displaced already. It has nothing. It has nothing to do with Judaism across the board, no matter how hard people have packaged it.
So the whole idea of supremacy in our society and in a lot of societies, that there's a supreme group or supreme group of people that should hold all the power, should hold all the money in a society, or should be unequal or equal to other people, right? Shouldn't work like that, right? In the end of the day, any supremacy is bad, right? Any supremacy is bad, right? As a society, right? We have a social contract where we all have rights and we should all be, there shouldn't be one group of people that are superior to the other. And so now that divide has gotten bigger and bigger and has become more pronounced in our society. And this is what they fear, right? This is what they fear with a politician like Zohran Mandani. This is what they fear with a person like Hassan Piker, that you might wake up and realize that the system is rigged for working people. The system is not at its best conditions, and it's not conductive to the whole system, right? It's not conductive to regular people. Everyone hit the like button, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you, right? Hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button. Thank you for joining me. Just covering a little bit of Hassan Piker's history of standing up for regular people and from a left perspective, right? And so these are the two biggest people that get attacked, which are Zohran Mandani and Hassan Piker. They're the ones that get attacked the most from all sides because they don't like anyone making workers or making the masses or making poor people feel as if they have a voice. They deserve to be heard. They deserve to have a chance. I mean, not they, we, because I'm part of the working class, also deserve a chance to be listened to, right? A chance of regular people to be heard by everyone and understand that we all, no matter how poor we are or where in the food chain we are, we deserve a chance unless we have a chance, right? So everyone, double tap on the screen, like the live, share the live. I appreciate you all, right? I appreciate you all. Definitely like the live, share the live, put it on different pages. Let's keep listening to this compilation that somebody put together of Hassan Piker. And this is a compilation of him calling out the Zionist forces in our society. And this is part of the equation, right? Of that most of the time they don't want you to hear. And guaranteed, me playing these videos, they're going to try to, the algorithm is going to keep the number low, right? So less people could see this. But
as such,
anyway,
these people do not care about
Okay.
actual anti-Semitism. Actual anti-Semites and their base of support is growing every single day. Ironically enough, there is wide popular momentum around anti-Israel sentiment, and this is a reality that anti-Semites know. That's why they take advantage of this sentiment. They use Israel constantly, pairing itself up with Judaism falsely to say, see, this is how they are. And their ranks grow every single day. Okay? That's it. That's it. They're the real anti-Semite.
I mean, because I agree that we should have a separation of church and state, right? We should have because that's what our Constitution says. There should be a separation from church and state. We shouldn't be a nation that says that we favor one religion or another religion. You can support whatever religion you want to support, and you could be whatever you want to be. If you are Christian, you're Christian. If you're Buddhist, you're Buddhist. If you're Muslim, you're Muslim. It doesn't matter what religion you are. You have the freedom to choose which one you want to be. And no one can dictate and tell you which religion you should be, right? No secular state. No state where it's ruled by religion or religious powers, right? It should be a full democracy, not a military democracy, not a city or state run by the military, and not an imperialist country, but a country that also protects individual rights and also does not go around taking over other countries or interfering with other countries. That's what people voted for when they heard Trump, right? When they heard Make America Great Again, that's what they believe in, right? But obviously, politicians are always gonna make promises and a lot of times not keep their promises and sell people a dream and not keep their dream alive, right? Tell people that they're gonna take care of them and in the end not feel like they have to do the best for the people, right? Not feel like they have to do the best for the people. And so this is exactly what he's saying.
The actual anti-Semites and their ranks grow every single day. This creates a dangerous predicament for Jews living in the Western world. Okay? It does. This conflation between Judaism and Israel, this false conflation, has existed in perpetuity. It plays a formative role in legitimizing anti-Semitic, nascent anti-Semitic opinions that people have. And yet, nothing changes. Just something to think about. Yeah, it's shameless. And
it's also the military state, right? That you can be against a imperialist country, a country that invades other countries, a country that attacks other countries, because you want every person in the world to have sovereignty and to be able to have freedom of expression, freedom of free will. And we might differ a little bit what it looks like. But at the end of the day, we had an international framework of what rights look like. Not advisory, but exactly what rights are, what human rights are. And we have definitely moved away from this framework that we had after World War II, right? Where we felt that everyone should be protected, no matter what country you're in. We started to manipulate this and do things to benefit ourselves instead of what benefits the masses. And so certain groups of people feel threatened by a person like Hassan Piker. They feel threatened by a person like Zohran Mandani. And at first, supposedly, Donald Trump said he was going to drain the swamp. And then it turns out he is part of the swamp, right? The same swamp he said he was going to destroy, that he was going to get rid of. He became part of the swamp.
Insanely.
And we know he's part of the swamp because we see the E-files. We see the Epstein files and how we still haven't seen all of them. There's still people being protected, powerful people that no one wants to speak about because people end up not being able to speak anymore. So let's keep listening to Hassan Piker compilation.
Anti-Semitic, ironically enough, okay? It is intensely anti-Semitic. to put the feelings of American Jews that you, by the way, have made up, okay? It doesn't even like correspond to reality. Jews are not monolithic, obviously. No group is. You're literally associating all Jews in America with Israel's Nazi project. That is unimaginably anti-Semitic.
I try to stress the importance fairly regularly of, especially at a time when anti-Semitism has exploded from, Kanye West's latest song all the way down to some of the most prominent conservative pundits openly agitating towards anti-Semitism, using cynically what is going on in Gaza to develop a heinous message that then attributes all of those crimes to Jewish people. I find myself virtually.
And it's not good to attribute or attack one group of people or feel like one group of people is the cause of all the problems in the world. Not at all. I don't agree with that. And we have to realize that we still have to uphold human rights, international law, and that it applies to everyone, right? That it applies to anyone, including the United States, because we have done a lot of regime change, including in Latin America, right? We've done so much regime change. Then we turn around and then say, oh, no, everyone is equal. Everyone has equal rights. But then we allow racial profiling in the streets, and we allow one group of people to be treated badly or as opposed to another group of people. We allow harassment and let's say, for example, just to use an example, Latinos, and we allow Latinos to be harassed or singled out. We allow people of color, BIPOC people, to be treated as second-class citizens. And a lot of people that thought that all the policies and rules of Donald Trump wouldn't affect them now realize that many of the rules and policies of Donald Trump do affect them and affect them negatively. When you give men unlimited power, unchecked power, then that erodes the social contract, right? That John Locke proposed in the United States, that we all give up some rights in exchange to be protected and have other rights. And in order to have all the rights, we give up some rights, right? But right when the balance is not appropriate, that's when we have issues and we have serious problems because the balance is off, right? So the balance is off. The balance in power is off. So, right, always the balance could be off. So then they issued a travel advisory. They issue a travel advisory, right? And so I want to listen to, let me get into some Trump news, right? Let me get into some Trump news. John Bolton he worked for different people.
Bolton, Ambassador, we thank you so much for your.
And got into a lot of trouble. Was friends with Trump, and then Trump ended up wanting to investigate him and go after him. Once he spoke negatively about Donald Trump and the things that he's doing. So Let's listen to Bolton.
Time. You've said that this war started as a regime change operation, but now the president has been looking for a way to get out of this. If you were in the situation room today, what advice would you be giving the president to try to do just that?
Well, I think it's very important to continue the military pressure. This is helping to destabilize the regime at the top, to inflict damage on the state institutions of Iran that both threaten us externally and repress its own citizens internally, that hopefully will cause tensions at the top of the regime that make it begin to come apart. Obviously, one thing that's critical, though, is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible to relieve the pressure on international markets. But maybe the most important thing of all is to do more to aid the opposition inside Iran, to provide them with support, the telecommunications equipment, money, weapons if they need it, because the opposition and defectors from the regime are going to have the main responsibility to, if there's still a chance, to overthrow the regime. And I'm just not sure we've done much, if anything, to help them out.
And you believe the correct objective is overthrowing the regime. In your view, would that require boots on the ground?
I don't think it requires boots on the ground. I don't think Trump's going to put any substantial force on the ground. There may be special missions that they carry.
Well, I mean, I don't know. He's sounding very positive with Trump, right? He's sounding very positive with Trump, right? I don't know. He's siding with Trump a lot, with what John Bolton has to say, right? I don't think I could agree with what his analysis is. Well, obviously, how to have his own analysis about what's happening. They're still thinking that they could have opposition, and fund an opposition, give weapons to an opposition, so they could overthrow the Iranian government. And it's been proven that this is old way of thinking, and most chances are this is not something that the U.S. is even close to accomplishing, right? We don't have the support within the country, and a lot of people don't support or trust Donald Trump, right?
Be the people who are obviously quite intimidated by the massacre the regime committed back in January when they machine gunned protesters in the streets and killed upwards of 30,000 people.
Were mistakes made by the Trump administration in the early?
I thought Trump said 80,000. Why the numbers keep changing?
Early days of this war?
Well, I'm still not clear why we didn't address the threat of the Strait of Hormuz being closed really right at the very beginning. It was a well-known threat, as was the threat of the regime attacking the Gulf Arab states, which they've done since then. And I think perhaps more could have been done to get ready to clear the strait if we had acted earlier. I think the big risk now, though, is allowing the regime to remain, because if you put this wounded animal basically back in, leave it in power.
I don't know. Referring to people as animals or subhuman is not a business I'm into, right? Never like to refer to other human beings as animal or subhuman. And this is something they do to make it more popular. I believe we should have not been in there in the first place. And if we send ground forces, I think it's going to backfire. Right? I think it's going to backfire big time. But you might disagree with me, right?
And then allow oil shipments to resume for all the Gulf states. Iran will earn considerable money, and the regime will build back its nuclear weapons program, build back its ballistic missile program, build back its support for international terrorism. And in a finite amount of time, hard to say how much, but within sight, they will be right back where we were when we started the war.
Was Iran at the start of the war an imminent danger to the U.S.?
No, I don't think so, based on what I know. But I don't think that's a necessary requirement. I don't think the United States is required to wait until our civilian population is imminently threatened by an Iranian nuclear attack or a North Korean nuclear attack or anybody else. I think this is a responsible way to act preventatively to avoid that situation coming up.
You've been in the room with President Trump in so many situations. Is there anything that you can share about his prior comments on Iran during the first administration, perhaps, that might inform some of what we're seeing today?
Well, he has always been correctly focused on eliminating Iran's nuclear weapons program. But I think what's become clear over decades is that you can mow the lawn on that program as many times as you want, as we did.
I mean,
Powerful
do you
congestion
agree?
relief doesn't have to be uncomfortable. New Theraflu Nasal Mist works like those other sprays, but feels like a fine.
So, I mean, do you agree? The warmongers, right? There's a lot of warmongers in the administration. So he just changed his tune, right? I guess being on the investigation and all that made him change his tune on Trump, because he was heavily criticizing Trump for a little while. And now all of a sudden, he has a different perspective on the whole Trump thing. And he's not really willing to criticize. Let's listen to this, what Trump has to say in the latest press conference, right? Oh, man. This was yesterday, though. And this was yesterday. And some people upset because Donald Trump is quoting people as saying that they support Donald Trump's position. So real Donald Trump cited me as supporting his attack on Iran and expressing regret. We didn't do it during the Biden administration, except didn't. Trump, I've heard that today. Blinken made a statement that he should have done it. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Blinken is Biden's guy, I guess. Who the hell knows who he is? But he came out with the statement that they should have done it. They made a mistake. So Trump changed Blinken's words, and Blinken is upset. He's saying that Trump twisted his words around.
No way you can do it during his term. I did it in the first year. Then they said, you'll never reach 7,000 on the S&P, Standard & Poor's. You'll never reach 7. We did it in the first year. We would go in like a rocket ship. The market was good. Everything was good. And then I said, we're going to have to do something about Iran because they're going to have a nuclear weapon very soon, and they're crazy. They're crazy. They're out of their minds. And we have to stop them. And I say, well, we're going to take a big hit. We're going to go through this certain route, and we'll get right back here, but we have to go and stop them. Every president should have done it. I heard that today Blinken made a statement that he should have done it. Thanks a lot, Blinken. I appreciate it. Blinken is Biden's guy, I guess. Who the hell knows who he is? He's his guy. But he came out with a statement that they should have done it. They made a mistake. They should have done it, and other presidents should have done it. Obama should have.
I mean, Blinken is upset because he's like, those are not my words. You know what I mean? He was saying that Trump made a mistake. Not that he made a mistake, not that Biden made a mistake, but that Trump made a mistake. And he took it way out of context, right? He took it way out of context and try to change his words around big time. And so Blinken is upset. A lot of people are upset. And then this is Marco Rubio trying to defend Trump. Right? This is Marco Rubio also trying to defend Trump. Everyone hit the follow, share, like button. I appreciate you getting this live up on the Richter scale. Right? I appreciate you. So let's watch this. Marco Rubio. And then they have pictures of hotels, schoolhouses. See how he left out schools, about bombing schools. Everyone hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the follow button. Yeah, we don't hit embassies, but we hit schools. That makes sense? Let me play it again, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio's words. The difference between the U.S. and Iran, he says.
May not get covered because, you know, we're unlike them. We're not bombing embassies and hotels. We're hitting military targets.
Yeah, he claims only military target, but schools are being hit.
May not get covered because, you know, we're unlike them. We're not bombing embassies and hotels. We're hitting military targets.
Does that make sense? Is that true what he's saying, or is that in his head? Is that in his head, or is he serious? Man. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, people got sick and tired of immigration, and I see this happening. Things are changing. People are tired. People are tired of being abused or being treated badly. That in Los Angeles, they're running after immigration agents and pushing them out. And they were throwing rocks at them, and they ran. They ran because I guess the people are getting sick and tired of being abused or being treated badly. And so I think the tide is changing. People don't want to deal with abuse or racial profiling. They want to win. They want to be successful. People don't just want to be bullies to be bullied. I mean, no one wants to be bullied or treated badly. At all. No one wants to be bullied or treated badly in any area or any part of the world, right? Especially not in the United States. People, the ones that are not MAGA, right? The ones that are not right-wingers are now waking up to reality. And there was also backlash at President Trump. He had to explain himself. Why is he taking away the mail-in ballot? But he's been voting by mail-in ballot for some time now, right? He's been voting through mail-in ballots, but he's trying to get rid of the mail-in ballot, but he's been voting through mail-in ballot, and he said his response is, I'm the president, right? That's his response. I'm the president. In other words, he could do whatever he wants. But, right? I mean, that's just... So Trump thought that once they start bombing Iran, it was a miscalculation, a big miscalculation. They thought that once they bombed Iran would feel it, and they would cave in and give in to whatever the demands of Trump were, right? Okay. Let's listen to this.
Iran wants a deal. I mean, we're coming into the fourth week of this, and you hear Iran say, no, we're going to reject these deals. What does this signify to you?
Well, 4 weeks seems long when we consider news cycles and diplomatic back and forth, but in conducting a major military operation, this is relatively swift. To me, it says that President Trump clearly is communicating with some people in Iran. We don't have the luxury of knowing, and probably if they were known, their lives would be in jeopardy. But he's been very, very clear from the outset that he seeks to make this a shorter term operation, at least in terms of major military operations. I think we're looking at a de-escalation in the not too distant future. And then those probably still need to be American and other joint operations to manage things going forward.
But what about the Strait of Hormuz? Who's gonna will we be able to take control of it? It doesn't seem like we have control of it. And Iran just keeps, but they keep rejecting, right? They keep rejecting any deal offers. And so now Trump is concerned about the oil prices. Definitely concerned about the oil prices. Everyone hit the like button, hit the follow button, hit the share button. why do they really think that every other country will want to jump in to something that they didn't never started or weren't involved in? Why do we think that other people want to help America, knowing that America has also stepped on a lot of people?
Proliferation risks with the nuclear or missile facilities, at least the missile facilities, what's left of them. And so there's clearly going to be work to be done. I would consider this more like maintenance rather than major up-tempo operations, but still work to be done. And that burden should be shared by others.
Yeah, I mean, because when
Well, the work should be shared by others. Others didn't get us into this, right? So others, I don't know how eager they are because it's very unpopular in their own countries, and the politicians are trying to get reelected unless they don't care about reelection, and then that's a whole different story, right? Zohran has spoken against this. Other people have spoken against it, and I don't expect a lot of the politicians to even be there to take any questions from the press or to listen to what Donald Trump and his administration have to say, right? They've been briefing them, but I don't think they're getting the full information on what's really happening at all. It's being filtered, and this is where social media comes in, where we can put pressure on the politicians to do what's right for the American people, not do what's right for Israel, not do what's right for what they think is right, but to do a little bit more. I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be doing longer lives on the weekend, but I appreciate you. Hit the like button, share, and what do you think about the Iran war? Put it in the comments. What do you think about the Iran war? And what do you also think about the amount of money being spent on war that could be spent on healthcare, improving the roads, improving all types of programs for the mostly marginalized, which are not doing that well in this economy, where the oil prices are more than $90 a barrel, and the prices are out of control. But I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining me, and let's see how this war shapes up, and let's see what tomorrow holds. I'm really hoping that they don't send ground forces or ground troops, because they already said they're going to sabotage them, and it's going to be serious problems. But knowing how they operate, they would send them anyway to show that America can do what they want, right? But everyone, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. May God be with you, protect you always. Have a good night. Take care. Donate, share, like. I appreciate you.